It's Wednesday night. It's approximately 8:30 p.m. EST. For those of you who've been before, you know what time it is. For everyone who hasn't, welcome to the Eagles Elite Podcast. So tonight, just a couple of things we'll be talking about. Go into details about, any Eagles updates, anything we've been hearing throughout the week, rumors, maybe suggestions of things we think we might do, things we've heard about, OTAs, that kind of stuff, right? Um, we'll also review um, the Steelers game last year, which is a game I actually had the opportunity to go to and enjoy. So I was very excited about that. It was fun to see and a great game for the team. And then also, we got another top 10 list that we're going to be hitting you with this week. So be ready. I know we're in the off season, but we're getting closer to the season. And guess what? It's time to go back to the Super Bowl and finish the story this year. So with that being said, get my co-host in with me. Why? What's going on, man?
What's happening, man? Another show means another week closer to the NFL season. I'm ready to get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then also my guy Fuji. What's going on, Fuji?
What's up, fellas? Another week closer, another day closer to training camp. Less than a month. Let's get the party rocking. Let's get that top 10 list. Let's review that Pittsburgh blowout last year when A.J. Brown went all. How's everybody doing? Get the party rocking, my man. What's going
Hey,
on?
with that being said, there's only one thing to do after that.
The kick is away, and the kick it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
And we got to get into the fam chat. It's already popping. Got a few here on Facebook. Guys, if you are on Facebook, appreciate you watching on there. But if you haven't given YouTube access to your comments on Facebook, it'd be easier for you if you just hop over and check us out on YouTube. And that would be just simply youtube.com/at Eagles Elite Podcast, or you can just search as Eagles Elite Podcast. Just, if you want to move on over to this platform so we can kind of see who you are with your comments. Got a guy checking in from Roswell, New Mexico. I know who it is, but we can't see him yet. We're not able to see
hit that subscribe button while you're there, too.
Yes, sir. Hop on over here to YouTube and we can see you. And as well, we'd be able to see the posts that you're posting. They're not words, because anything you post is like a GIF or anything. We're not able to see if you haven't given Facebook the ability to allow your stuff to be seen on YouTube. But definitely have, watchers, and that's never a bad thing. So appreciate that. But guys, so we'll start off, man. It's doing a little change, not anything big, but just a slight change. So instead of doing breaking news, what we're going to do moving forward, we're just going to do Eagles updates, right? So anything in regards to the Eagles, our thoughts, any news, any updates, any player signings, any of those things, any releases, all that, we can just throw it all up under Eagles updates. And we can make that a part of the show every week. So Wyatt, We'll start with you, man. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw this. I actually came across this yesterday, but another jersey leaked apparently, and it's the alternate white version of the Kelly Green retros. So I mean, it's just the basic white jersey with the old school, the Eagle logo on the sleeves, and it's got that Kelly Green around the collar on the numbers and everything. It looks slick, man. I'm hoping it's real. I mean, I have seen it in multiple places, so I mean, I'm hoping it is. So I mean, it would be nice to see not only the regular home Kelly Green jerseys, but also the aways too. So it may signify that we may be using them just more than once or twice this year or in the coming years. We may have them, maybe, who knows, like half the season, split it with the regular jerseys. That'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad with that at all.
You know what? I think I like these a little better than the the ones they just came out with. I mean, with the kind of looks like the one that came out before the jersey that they presented from 85, that 85 look. I mean, those are the ones that they had. I know when they went to the Super Bowl in 1980 with the green trim around the white on the sleeves. So that resembles that kind of jersey a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, I'm excited just for them to officially announce it at this point. Like, we've been getting all these leaks and everything. Like, I think it's time, man. Like, they just need to come out with the announcement and show us like legit photos of not just the players in them, just like maybe like what the actual like for sale jerseys would look like as well, or like give us an update on when they will be for sale.
Right. Oh, no doubt. I mean, it'd be nice, for them just to come out with training camp, like I said, being less than a month away. You would think they would, want everybody to like go out and,
try to get the jump on. Yeah, guys can get the jump and have them before the season and everything.
I know I'm ready to get mine, but what's it going to be? The actual
Same.
Kelly green or the white with the green trim?
Right. I thought it was just going to be the regular Kelly green, but now we got another option.
Unless we're going to like every other sport with like 5 different uniforms.
Hey, Oregon has like 15. Why can't we have 5?
That's true.
I'd be cool with that. I mean, I love the regular midnight green and the white and then like the black every so often. But I mean, we've been having that rotation for a while now. Like, it's going to be nice to have it changed up a little bit, something fresh, bringing that Kelly green back.
Especially since not having the midnight green since '96.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why? Any other news or anything that you've been privy to?
Yeah, I got a couple more things here. Apparently, our wide receiver, Devin Allen, he ran the 110-meter hurdles on Saturday, and he actually came in with his fastest time of the year and the 4th fastest in the world. So, dude's still out there doing his thing. We just still haven't, seen it translate on the field as of yet, as far as being an Eagle. But I mean, the talent's there, his explosiveness and speed is there, but does he have the hands?
That's been the question. Yeah, the hands have been the question for sure. No doubt about it.
Well, the Eagles definitely have needed that kick returner for years on end. A game breaker, somebody to come in here and, just be an impact in the special teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
This dude over here.
That's very, very true.
Got Rod back in them comments. What up, Rod?
So Rod says, "What's up, fellas? A movie premiere at Gillette is called The Return of the Mac."
So
he's returning. He's definitely going to return.
The last couple things I have here, Jason Kelce just had a couple interviews as of late, and an interesting quote that I saw here. Apparently, they were talking about Tyler Steen, who we drafted here, and we've actually been talking about whether he could possibly go in at right guard or not, or if it was going to be Juergens. But Kelce is saying that around the building before he even got to meet Tyler Steen, everybody was comparing him to Brandon Brooks, which is pretty interesting. So, I mean, it seems like Howie them kind of had they saw something in him that they liked, and they saw something as far as like a Brandon. And we were just talking about Brandon Brooks last week, so it's pretty interesting that quote popped up within this week here. But that's encouraging, man, to hear that coming from Kelce and everybody else within the organization.
It's pretty good company to be compared to as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
exactly.
He's slated in as a starter right now, so I mean, it's his job to lose.
Steen over Cam Juergens.
Juergens.
Yeah, Juergens is our. So we have to remember, Juergens is our center of the future. So you have to remember that. So these other positions, if he's playing them, he's only playing them because there's not really another guy in that position. But Juergens is our guy. That's going to be Jason Kelce's replacement once Kelce leaves.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, the last time I was on, we pretty much got into I forget the gentleman from Denver, but he was actually still out there on the market. Why? That's a good question. But, at this point, it's, these guys, whoever out there, like Hopkins, Dalvin Cook being cut, a bunch of other guys out there, are they ready for or they ain't ready to come to camp within 3 weeks and hopefully get signed.
Man, those guys
Job.
are not worried. Those guys are not trying to go to camp. That's why they're not signed yet.
No, I know, but you think, yeah, but you never know. I mean, if you want to be ready for the season, your tail better be ready to rock. Even though it's not the old days of 2-a-days anymore. But,
right. So Sean says that Sean has a little bit of info here for us. So Sean says the Broncos may look to move speedster KJ Hamler, and rumors have it the team is the Eagles. I did see something about that.
Mm-hmm.
This did come out today here. I don't know if it was today or yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's been mentioned as far as being traded or possibly they're getting rid of him for the past year or two now. But yeah, I mean, I did see that report.
Yep.
Also,
mentioned him as a potential trade target, referring to him as an undersized lottery ticket, and we know how he loves his lottery tickets. This is true.
Something came out about the Carolina Panthers slot receiver.
Yeah, I saw something about that too. I forget who it was. I didn't save it just because it was it was rumors and stuff. I wasn't really sure.
I saw it, but I look at guys like Hamler, and I'll say I'd rather have him. The contract situation is nice.
Yeah.
We've seen when he has had the opportunity, he's done a little bit. So some of the other ones, I'm kind of like, are you any better than what we already have? Like, my thing is, if we're going to go and pick up a guy to come in, he at least needs to challenge Zaccheaus and Quez for that number 3 spot. If he can't do that, then we don't really need him here.
Yeah, on top of you not giving up too much,
Exactly.
But I mean, if they were able to, and if they felt comfortable doing it, I mean, it could be a nice place for him to kind of start over Hamler as far as learning with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and also against Bradbury and Slay in camp as well. That could possibly help him out in the long term.
Yeah. I mean, it's never a situation where I think it's never bad to have more talent.
Oh yeah.
At your wide receiver position, and we haven't had a lot. Let's be honest. Outside of our top 2, we haven't had a lot of talent at the wide receiver position lately. So getting more talent in guys that can compete for that 3rd spot, guys that can make us better, that's kind of what we need. So if we can get that puts us in a much better situation. It makes us even much more dangerous. And these aren't guys that need to come in and get a bunch of catches, have big yards, just be that guy that when you need a play made, they can make the play. And that's really what we've been missing. So we add that. I feel like that's one of the couple of missing pieces that we have. Depth is always important, especially a wide receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, it's that's your only wide receiver spot, and how much are they willing to spend and go out and look for just to fill that spot? Because I mean, you have Quez, and like you mentioned, you have Zaccheaus, who, I mean, you've been talking of Zaccheaus a lot here now, and I'm falling into it now. I'm buying into the Zaccheaus talk. But I mean, it all depends on what they're looking for. I mean, they keep talking of how Quez is doing in camp, but I mean, we've heard this all before. Jalen Reagor looked great in camp. We all know that. And then look what happens during the season. So I mean, camp. I mean, of course, it's going to be exciting. It's the first football in action we've really had in months to talk about. But I mean, it doesn't really matter until you're out there performing during the regular season. So hopefully Zaccheaus is able to do it. I would assume that he's going to beat Quez out for that 3rd spot. My assumption. I just don't see Quez. I mean, I know he has that chip on his shoulder, but I just don't see him coming out and blowing everybody's socks off during the season. I could see Zaccheaus coming in and rolling with that job.
Yeah, I think if everything stays as it is now, unless, like you said, Quez really comes out on another level, I think that's Zaccheaus' job to lose. But if we go bring in another piece, hey, you never know. It could be a situation where now it's a 3-man battle for who's going to be there. But see, the winners in all this would be the Eagles, because let's say Zaccheaus wins, even if you bring in Hamler. Let's just hypothetically say it happens. Zaccheaus, let's say he still wins the 3rd wide receiver slot, right? That means you now have a battle for 4 and 5. So now you have some guys that you were looking at we may have to depend on this guy like Devin Allen, who can run out the gym but doesn't seem to be able to catch the ball.
Right.
Now you push those guys to special teams or practice squad, and you have guys that you can really trust that can make the plays and have the talent and ability to play, battling it out for those lower positions. Where in the past there would be guys battling it out for 2 and 3 on the Eagles. So I just think that makes us better if we can accomplish that. I mean, it's obviously it's just a rumor, but if it were to happen.
Yeah, and especially if you didn't give up too much for him too. I mean, why not?
As far as for Hamler, what is his contract status? I don't
Well,
know.
he's
still on his rookie deal, isn't he?
He's still on his rookie deal. I think last year was his second year in the league, I believe. So he's still got a couple of years on his rookie deal. So that's not going to require a large payday. Also, Sean says a couple more comments here. So Sean says, did you see former Jackson State wide receiver Malachi Whiteman has been granted entry into the upcoming NFL supplemental draft? I did see that. Jennifer Matthews Lewis.
What's up, Jennifer?
Says hi. Hey, Jen. Thanks for tuning in. Sean also says Wyman is 6'5", 200 pounds, caught 34 passes for 540 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns in the SWAC in 2021. He played at Tennessee before transferring to Jackson State ahead of the 2021 season. Former 5-star recruit and a former top 100 player in both football and basketball. So, I mean, it may be somebody that you possibly look at. Well, y'all know supplemental draft is coming back, but with a supplemental draft, if you make that pick, then you lose that pick, you're drafted next year. So if you go in the 5th round and you draft this guy, for instance, then whatever would be our 5th round pick in the regular draft next year, we no longer have.
Okay.
So it just all depends on how you feel about the guy. I'm sure he wouldn't go early rounds because nobody ever uses early round picks in the supplemental. There's other guys you can get.
Yeah, you have to be real high on a guy to go get him like that.
Just to reiterate.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, just to reiterate on a little supplemental draft history, it's how the Eagles got Chris Carter.
Okay. Now, what happens do they just go into like the waivers then for the guys, people that don't get drafted through the supplemental draft? How does that work?
Yeah, they just become free agents at that
free
point.
Agents. Okay.
Yeah, they're undrafted free agents. So they're in the same pool that can be signed by any team. The supplemental draft, as Sean says here, is July 11th. You are correct about that as well, Sean. My thing is he's got the height, 6'5". He's 200, so he's another guy that's probably on the smaller side. But obviously, you can bulk him up some. You don't want to take away too much of his speed. So possibilities there. It all depends on how bad we feel like we need to go out and get a guy that's going to compete at best for our 3rd wide receiver slot.
Hey, I look at it like this, and not to fast forward the next year, but Devontae Smith's contract's coming up. Are the Eagles going to be able to afford him and AJ Brown? So
yes, they will, sir.
They'll find a way.
Because your quarterback didn't bend us over. Our quarterback did not bend us over and grease us. So yes, they can.
I know. Agreed. Just food for thought. There's always there's always a different option to look at.
And then you also think about defensively. I'd say within the next 2 years, we're not going to have Bradbury or Slay. So we're going to save a lot of money on their back end at that point. Yeah. So then you're looking at a guy like Keely Ringo stepping in, and then who knows who could be that other guy. It could be someone that's on the team now. It could be someone else that we draft or we bring in through free agency. But I think we're going to see some money from some of these positions that are going to be saved. Kelsey's going to be leaving at some point in the near future.
He's getting up there.
Johnson's getting up there, but I think he's going to try to hang on for a couple more years.
Fletcher
Cox and Graham. So we're going to have guys that are getting big money just because of their value that are going to be coming off those books. A couple of dead years maybe, but for the most part, they'll be coming off a lot of their money.
Wayne's got 2 or 3 years left, even though I think they reworked his deal.
Yeah.
And
it's at that time of the year, it's like their annual restructure of Lane Johnson's contract.
And the thing is, Lane's going to play as long as he wants to. Lane's going to be another one that's going to have that same he's going to be given the same thing that you get when you look at guys like Jason Kelsey, right? Oh, you're going to play? You're going to be Eagle. Fletcher Cox, you're going to play? You're going to be Eagle, bro. We're not letting you go play anywhere else. So as long as Lane wants to play, I think he's going to be another one that's going to fall in that batch. But he's a couple years younger than those guys.
Well, you figure between Lane Not Lane. Cox, Graham, and Kelsey. Kelsey's getting $12 million. Cox re-signed for 10, and Graham for 6.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that, like $30 million right there? Close.
Yeah, then you have to think about dead years too, because even though they re-signed, you know how he's been doing some of the contracts. They may be still getting money dead years for 2 or 3 more years on top of that. But yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good position. I think we're looking at, we know who we need to re-sign. I think we'll keep the guys that are being successful. Once you get to a certain point in age where your skills deteriorate, you know, you're going to have to go. And I think, like I said, a couple of years is going to be both of our starting corners. But that's why Ringo was an important pickup for us in the draft, because he's a guy that can come in and, you know, do some of those things. So Rod's here. Rod says, I'm enjoying the show, fellas. Well, when you have a New England Patriots fan say he's enjoying the Eagles show, I think we're doing something right.
Thank you. I mean,
well, I agree, though. Do you think – I don't see us getting rid of both Bradbury and Slade like around the same time. I feel like we're going to keep one of them for a little bit longer. Do you see us going out and drafting a corner? Because you know that we're not great at drafting corners. Or do we go out and try to steal one of these like free agent corners, young free agent corners from one of these teams to kind of like what we did Slay at the time? I mean, he was a little older at that point, but that's how we ended up scooping Slay. Well, we went out and traded for him, but that you get my point.
So for me, I feel like Ringo's there for that, as part of that, right? I think Ringo's a guy, and what's going to be different about Ringo is that you have 2 Hall of Famer caliber cornerbacks. I'm not saying they're going to be Hall of Fame. I'm saying Hall of Fame caliber corners that he can learn from. You know, as well as a guy like Greedy Williams, who came from Cleveland. Small contract, not a lot of money because of injury history and things like that. But these are guys that you can really see, okay, what does this guy have? Right. Then we got a guy like Josh Jobe. We got late in the draft last year. Got another guy, Eli Ricks. Same thing from the draft this year. Mario Goodrich. So there's some other guys, obviously not as talented. That's why they're further down the depth chart. But I think that it's the setup. What we finally seems like we've learned from some of those teams that can make that successful transition from the veteran to the younger guy coming in and taking over is have the veterans on the roster to help the young guys develop. That way, when the young guy has to be the player, he's already built for it. Yeah. And that's where I think we fell off before, and that's why we had such a bad run. We didn't have guys in when some of the other guys left. We try to do everything through free agency. We try to be we're going to get everything through free agency. Now it looks like we're at least attempting to build more through our own draft and sometimes bringing in guys, but on small contracts and seeing if they fit what we're attempting to do. And all of this, of course, depends on what kind of corner Sean Desai wants in this defense. Because keep in mind, these players were brought back before Desai was named the defensive coordinator.
Right.
Yeah, we also need to keep an eye on Avonte Maddox too and his injury situation going forward. Because if he keeps getting hurt like that, I could see us moving on from him quick, or trying to find someone to fill his place and have him be like a rotation piece.
Yeah, because Zach McPherson is listed as his backup. But I do think if he goes down, we're going to put either Greedy Williams or Keely Ringo in that spot, because it makes more sense. That way they get on the field and they start to get a little bit more experience for Ringo just in the NFL period. For Williams with the Eagles, seeing if he fits what we want to do and what we expect out of him from that backup role. So I think that's where we're better off this year than we have been in the past, quite honestly.
Okay.
And Sean, you seem like you're a pretty knowledgeable guy. Let us know what your thoughts are on this as well. But yeah, a lot of interesting things going on. What do you got, Mike?
I was going to say, I mean, I read, Keely Ringo's still not signed for whatever reason. Nah.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he doesn't sign to the day before training camp. Doesn't matter if he doesn't sign until halfway through training camp. He'll be there, because if he's not there, even though he's not signed,
I just find that to be a little weird, because the Eagles have a great history. Howie always has a great history locking these guys up.
He'll lock them up
pronto.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're not done as far as trying to get someone else too, either like a free agent or through trade or something. Maybe they're waiting to figure out what the roster is going to look like, so they can kind of then figure out the contract situation and money situation. Who knows?
Well, the Patrick Queen situation, I think that came and built within the last couple of days.
I did read something about that. Yeah.
And, it'd be a nice addition.
Yeah, man. Patrick Queen. I'm still high. Like, go out and get Buda Baker, man. I'm gonna keep ringing that bell every week.
Amen. What do you give
talking.
up, though?
Yeah, that's a question. Hopefully
Do
not
the Eagles
much.
have the funds to really take on? Do they really want to pay a safety that much money?
That's the thing is we were probably going to have. We talked about it a little bit last week. Like, going to have to probably sign him to that deal, to a new deal, if we trade for him.
Oh,
You
yeah.
bring him in, you sign him. So that's the thing too.
Mm-hmm.
You think about whoever you bring in, you still got to sign. We know how.
Yeah,
he's
it's the same with Patrick Queen.
Something. Yeah, how he's going to pull something. We just don't know exactly what it is yet. I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of rumors rolling around, but it's like until we see how he actually does, it's hope more than anything else. Now, once these deals happen, this is the place you want to be to hear about him.
I think if there's going to be another deal or so, though, I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Well, Yannick Ngwake's name's coming up. I did hear another thing about that.
His name keeps getting thrown out there. But I was reading comments about it today. It's the same thing that we were saying on the podcast, though. Exactly what Cool was saying. This dude is great, but he just cannot stop the run. He's not great at tackling, and he's just not stopping the run. He can get you to sacks and everything. He can help this team out, get back up to that sack record like we did last year, but he's not going to be able to stop that run.
He's more of a situational guy.
Yeah.
I take him over to Derek Barnett and say, bon voyage.
Yeah, I would too.
Thanks for the memories. You recovered the fumble, the strip sack, Brandon Graham. That's his claim to fame.
Derek Barnett is the most frustrating guy because he has so much talent. You see it, but you see it in small spurts. The dumb penalties.
2 years ago.
It's always him.
Makes you
led the NFL on defensive penalties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't have that.
I don't know how many times I wanted to put my foot through the damn thing.
Like every time we mention Derek Barnett, I always forget he's still on the team because he had that, the season-ending injury.
Number one pick in 2017. That was the Bradford trade. They got that pick when they traded Bradford in 16.
Sammy Sleeves.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Sammy.
Those are some rough years.
That guy.
Yeah, but figure you didn't have a number one pick that year because basically gave the farm away to move up to get Carson Wentz. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all know how that worked out, but at least it gave us cap space after that 1 year, right? So there was at least some sort of a positive there. Yeah. Now, question for you guys before we move on here. Well, first of all, did you have anything else that you came across?
The only thing I had was just an interview with Kelsey and Brandon Graham about not really about the Super Bowl. They were just kind of talking about the Super Bowl. Yeah. Yes. But Kelsey just mentioned that the team's still hungry and they have a desire to go out and accomplish what they weren't able to accomplish last year. And it's felt throughout the building pretty much. And he's also saying about how Hurts still beats himself up over that Super Bowl loss. And he told him, like, man, you had one of the best performances in Super Bowl history. Like, there's not much more you could have done. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, it's a team sport, man. Like, there's more that could have been done on the team, but there's not much else Jalen Hurts could have done to help out that, try to go out and get that dub.
Actually, today, Jason Kelsey and Travis, Mama Kelsey, were all in Ocean City. No, I'm sorry, Sea Isle City, New Jersey, where they raised, they're like celebrity bartenders for the Eagles Autism Foundation. There's a couple other guys too. Jake Elliott was there, ex-Eagle
Jordan
Mailata. I didn't see Mailata. I know Fletcher Cox. I think
Mailata was there.
I saw a video of Goddard and Mailata doing the fight song.
I know. They just raised the money for the Eagles. It's actually, the bar is called the Ocean Drive.
Yeah, and I also saw
City, New Jersey.
Also saw some fans were challenging Kelsey to Tucking contest.
Sure,
And Kelsey
yeah.
won.
Bro, I
Yeah.
don't know how he'd be putting those beers down as fast as he's doing it, man.
That's why when you want to get him back, you send him a keg. That's exactly why. That explains
Sirianni
everything,
knew
right?
exactly what he was doing.
Big time.
So, Brandon Graham's comments when he was on the Sports Take with Derek Gunn and Rob Ellis, he said, when he was asked, So this is, I've heard this talked about on other shows, but keep in mind he was asked. He did not do a Deebo Samuel and just start running on anywhere he could go or tweeting about it. He was actually asked. And he said that the Chiefs' offensive line was blessed to face the Eagles on slippery turf in the Super Bowl. You need traction to be able to get off the block. We were slipping a lot. He also said, I don't make excuses. I just know that that's what was being talked about, us trying to get out of our own head a little bit too. I'm telling you that O-line, they got blessed. I'll say that. So I love it, and I'm going to tell you why I love it. A lot of people say, oh, you need to move on. You do this, you need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I can safely say at least this for everybody that's on this show with me, both you guys and everybody that's watching. That's an Eagles fan. We want to get back to the Super Bowl. So any motivation, any chip that we can have, let's do it. And I feel like one of those would be something as crazy as, we really didn't get to play our best defensively because of the situation of the field. We'll be prepared for that. We'll have deeper cleats next time. We'll be more prepared. We'll be checking to see what we're going into. If we get back there, we'll be.
I was going to say NFL need to get their shit right. First off, like they need to figure that situation out too. It shouldn't be just on the teams that are playing. Like it should be on the NFL to make sure their fields are right for the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, but usually don't they? Isn't there usually somebody to go out? Like usually the players go out hours before just to get a feel of the turf.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I mean they were saying there was issues during that though, but there was nothing they could really do at that point.
Yeah, nothing to do at that point because the game was about to happen. But my thing is that's going to be motivation, right? You're going to remember. You got to remember how you sitting over there slipping and sliding, and that's why you lost the biggest game of the year, and how much better you could have been if you would have been able to get that traction. And like he said, it's not an excuse, but hey, be lucky that it happened. And I think people are trying to take that and make that into an excuse. It's not, to me, an excuse. That's you being asked a question and you're answering. Now, on the other hand, if you're Deebo Samuel, and every time you talk the NFC Championship game, you talk about how we didn't have a quarterback and you want to whine and complain, that's making excuses to me. Just personal opinion, but that's making excuses to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Oh man, I totally agree. The same thing with like the Hurts, the reason Hurts is beating himself up about the Super Bowl. Like you want that chip on their shoulder, kind of like. And Hurts was getting like the question was about Hurts was like, is he the dude going into last year? Now it's like everybody's hyping Hurts up as top 5 QB in the league. I think he kind of needs that chip on his shoulder, something a little extra. I mean, whether he wanted or not, he was going to find a reason to go out there and have some motivation. But this kind of gives him a little extra motivation going into this even though there's a lot of people hyping him up. Just he's always going to kind of blame himself, even though if it's not fully his fault.
Actually, I was hearing something. I think Colin Cowherd, I believe, was being one of the doubters and haters and writing emails off.
Colin Cowherd.
Like Skip Clueless.
Yeah. Yeah, he's saying that like he's like saying how there's like red light, like lights flashing for the Eagles, like how aging O line. Where it's like we only have like Kelsey and Lane that are old on that O line. Really, everybody else is pretty young. I don't know what she's talking about there. Old as
Kelsey.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know, man. It's how these pundits are.
Yeah, it's called hate. Colin Cowherd does not. I mean, let's put it out there. I mean, you guys may agree with me or not. Colin Cowherd does not want to see Jalen Hurts and quarterbacks who like Jalen Hurts compete at a high level.
Yeah.
He
Same with like Chris Sims and who was the other dude? Nick Wright. That's out there talking about Jalen Hurts, saying, "Oh, I don't know if I'm not sold if he's the guy." Like, are you kidding me?
Here's the thing:
did you see what this dude was able to do?
All Jalen Hurts has to do is go back and listen to the videos and the talks about about him before last season. If he just keeps those, that's enough to motivate him for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Right, and then also you think about, man, even this summer, people keep trying to bring up, the Seahawks had a trade in place. They were going to trade, and the Eagles were going to trade, we covered that last year, right? We talked about
Yeah.
you go to these functions, you say, hey, would you be interested in doing a trade, Jalen Hurts and 2 first-round picks, for instance, for, you know, Russell Wilson? Maybe you're asking to see what the value market is for Hurts, see what the value market is for that, or you may be truly interested in doing it. None of us can confirm exactly how that came about. We just know that there was some talks, and that was acknowledged before the season. But the right thing happened, and we got the guy that we should have. And Wyatt, me, you, among other people, were very confident that Hurts is going to have a good season. I did say, hey, if he doesn't get it done this year, then we know it's time to think about making a move. But if he gets it done, pound on y'all's face, and he got it done. But a couple more comments here from Sean. So Sean says, to bring up the comment of free agent cornerbacks, you have C.J. Henderson, 25 from Jacksonville, Sean Murphy-Bunting, 27 from Tennessee. Yep. I mean, I really don't think we're going to bring in one this year, though, because money.
Not this year.
And then Sean also says they're out there. Remember preseason game at the Vet versus the Ravens. They canceled the game, I think, preseason due to the field conditions.
2001, I was there.
Yeah, but you couldn't cancel the Super Bowl, right? You're not going to cancel the Super Bowl because of field conditions. You just got to suck it up.
The reason they canceled that Ravens game, which I was at in 01 at Veterans Stadium, was because, remember, it was a multi-purpose stadium. And around the one end zone was third base. And, there was like dirt seeping up through the AstroTurf. And Brian Billick refused to play. Ravens refused to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean also says, bring on the San Francisco Whiners. Can't wait to bring your lunches that day. So, guys, while we're on the show, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. How do you feel about that being the game we go to? I would love for us to go to that game.
If we can make it happen, that'd be dope.
Yeah, the 49ers.
I'd be about it.
And Eagles. That'd be a great game for us to all link up at and
that would be.
Go check out there. I think that's the one.
It's one of the games I already have lined up to go to.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm looking at like that's probably the game I want to go to. I want to see that rematch.
Win
or lose, I just want to be there. I want to talk trash whether we win or lose because that's what I'm going to do.
Well, matter of fact, I think I did see something about Purdy is ahead of schedule.
Oh, I hope he's back.
It's not going to matter.
I hope he's back. I definitely hope he's back.
That,
I wanted him to finish the NFC Championship game.
Let Son Reddick do his thing like he said, set the tone for that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not worried about him. All right, guys. So I think it's about that time, unless we have anything else left.
No, that's all I have.
And slide into this top 10 for this week. Let's get that up here. All right. Sorry, guys, it's just taking a moment. There we go. All right, so we're going to do the Eagles' top 10 tackles in history. Now, it's interesting with these because you have to do a little bit of digging more to get like a top 10 tackles. It's easier to get like a top 10 of some other positions. But I think it's fun because it gives you an ability to kind of go deeper and see a lot more than what you would see normally.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like we did last week, since we're doing just the position and not necessarily like a top 10 list for a position group like we've been doing. Let's just go through who we have, and we can kind of, compare those that we may have together and kind of roll with it that way. If that's good with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we have you started off this week?
Okay. The one I have here is Vic Sears. Played 1941 through 1953. You got to be part of our 2 championships during the 48 and 49 seasons there.
All right. I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to go with Allen Barbary.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a former offensive guard, played with the Packers, then came over to the Eagles. He also played for the Seahawks, Dolphins, and Broncos. So he traveled around a lot. But when he did play with the Eagles, he was a good, solid tackle for us for the years that he was with the team.
Now, I want to say this. I really didn't do my homework on this. But now,
Good
you
job,
guys
sir.
rating these gentlemen number 10?
Now we're just going through a list. So the way we're
Just
doing it
throwing.
is just we're just throwing different
Okay,
names that we have out.
Mhm.
Well, I want to go with the late passing of Bob Brown, who just recently passed away within probably the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had him too.
Yeah, I had him on my list as well.
NFL inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
I forget what years. I think he played in the late 60s.
64 through 68.
Yep. 64 through 73 total. I think he was with us through 68.
I believe he went in the Hall of Fame as an Eagle, I believe.
Yep.
Mm.
All
He-
team
he-
first pro 3 times while he was with us. Made the Pro Bowl 3 times while he was with us as well.
Yep. He won Rookie of the Year.
64, you said?
Yep. And he was nicknamed the Boomer. So yeah, definitely a good pick, man. Definitely had him on my list as well.
Mhm.
All right. Wyatt, we're back on you.
I got J.D. Smith, played from 59 through 63. He was part of the 1960 championship, and he ended up getting a Pro Bowl as well.
Okay. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and be a little bit more recent in the next pick,
Okay.
but I'm gonna go John Runyon.
Big John.
I have him on my list as well.
Yeah,
Runyon's Renegades.
yeah, 14 seasons as a tackle in the NFL. He's with the Eagles from 2000 2008. Just a tough guy. The biggest thing about him that I remember as a player watching him play is you didn't hear a lot about him. The only time you heard about John Runyon was when we were running behind him or when he was stopping someone from getting to the quarterback. You didn't hear a lot of
Mhm.
penalties, a lot of false starts, none of that. You just heard a solid guy that knew how to play.
Great player. Great in the trenches, but I don't know. I could say something, but I really don't want to be negative.
You
Stray,
can say how you feel, man.
Strahan owned them. Sorry. Strahan just, I hate saying it, believe me. But, actually, they're like great friends. Actually, I believe when Strahan went in the Hall of Fame, I don't know if John Runyon, actually, I think he introduced.
He may have. Yeah, I know they're really great friends, and he's
Yeah.
a politician now, too.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Strahan was a bunch to handle, especially back in 2000, 2008, that time frame. Strahan was
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
to handle. So, hey,
Shame.
there's not a lot of people that were.
Shame Brett
manhandling
Favre
them.
took a dive, though.
Brett Favre is Brett Favre. What can
I
you
know.
say?
Just saying. I'm going to
All
go with. There's 2 guys that played on this line in 1980. I'm going to go Jerry Sizemore.
Okay.
Yeah, I had him as well.
I had him on my list too. I'm gonna actually pick someone that was right on the other side of that line with Jerry Sizemore during that time. Stan Walters
Big Stan.
played 75 through 83 and had 2 Pro Bowls. Believe he started out his career in Cincy for the first couple
Sounds
years,
about
and then he
right.
spent the rest of his time in Philly.
Yeah, and Sizemore started 122 consecutive games for us.
Damn.
So yeah, that's a
He
that's
was
a
a
big break
multiple.
Yeah, that was the thing about John Runyon too. I remember he had like 9 years no missed games, which is crazy.
there. Yep. And I'm gonna go with the guy who actually took over for Jerry Sizemore after he left, and that's gonna be Trey Thomas.
Okay. Yep. He's on my list as well. Pretty high up there.
Absolutely.
Eagles first round pick in 98.
166 regular season games from 98 to 2008, sixth most in team history. I mean, it's not a lot that we really have to say about Trey Thomas. He did play was a Florida State Seminole, which I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so but we'll overlook it just because of what he did for the Eagles. We'll overlook it.
I don't know if this guy's. I don't even know if he is in the top 10. And there was a couple others that were probably ahead of him. But this guy played on the line with Randall Cunningham. It was a Penn State guy named Ron Heller. I believe he was a tackle or guard. I think he went to Miami to play with Marino after the Eagles, for whatever reason, then re-signed him. But he played on that. I don't think Jimmy Johnson was there yet. But yeah, I think he finished his career with the Miami Dolphins. Ron Heller. Sean could probably touch on that.
Who you got? Why? I'll check that out real quick.
Who I got?
Yeah. Who you got next?
You know, our boy Jason Peters played for us from 2009 to 2020. You know, I had him pretty high up on my list, even though he ended up joining the dark side, you know, in the twilight of his career there. But, man, he was a force to be reckoned with, though. He had 7 Pro Bowls with us, 2 All-Pro appearances. He was on the Super Bowl team, as everybody knows. He didn't get to play, though, because he was injured at that point in time. But, I mean, he was an anchor on that at that left tackle position for many years and through some tough times with us. And, man, he was a beast.
Let's see. I'm just looking at something here. Yeah, I think you may have gotten the name wrong, Fuji, because Ron Howard was a tight end for the Cowboys.
Oh, no, Ron Heller. Heller.
Heller. Okay, yeah. I misheard you.
Yeah, he was a right tackle.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, I misheard you. I thought you said Ron Howard. I was like, Ron Howard? Yeah. But, so yeah, love Jason Peters. Great pick there. I'm going to go with the Ox, Al Wistard.
Have him on my list as well.
Yeah. He played guard and he played defensive tackle. He played his entire 9-year NFL career for the Eagles. Was a team captain. He played from 1944 to 1951. Made first team All-Pro in 4 of his 9 years with Philly. So definitely making him one of our better linemen that we had. And definitely one of the better guards. So definitely had him on my list as, guy that was really instrumental.
Yep. And he had the part of the 2 championships.
Yep. And that 48-49, yes, sir. Another guy on that team. All right. Fuji, got anybody else?
I'll say current Eagle now. Trey Thomas. I'm sorry. Lane Johnson. I'm sorry.
Yep. That was my number 1, numero uno.
Lane's going to go down as. Here's a question. I don't know if we could compare, but who's better, Lane Johnson or John Runyon? Can you compare them?
I think you've gotten more longevity out of Lane Johnson on the Eagles, so I think that makes a big part of it too.
Runyon was here Runyon was here for about 8 years.
Yeah, Runyon was here for
8 or 9. 2000.
Lane going on 3-4 years without a sack now too.
Yeah, so
that's
it's hard.
Huge.
Yeah, because
brought a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's hard because I think when you're looking at it, the team that John Runyon had around him, especially in the wide receiver position, was not a team that could really bring a championship to Philly, right? So I think you got to look at that too. If you're just going to say it doesn't matter, we're just going to put it in the vacuum, I'd have to go with Lane Johnson, more longevity, like Wyatt just said, years without giving up a sack. He has missed some games, but he's been pretty durable. And he's been with the team for a while. over a
13,
decade. So
11 years.
yeah, he's been with us over a decade. So I think you'd have to give the edge to the guy that was there longer, was on the Super Bowl winning team, and hasn't given up a sack in years. So I think you'd have to go with him. But you look at guys like Runyon, even Jason Peters, the years he was healthy was amazing for us.
Yeah.
All right. So any other thoughts on the top 10 guys?
Not, man. Solid list.
Yeah, good players. And what we'll do next week is we'll just do a top 10 offensive lineman. That'll be simpler. But also, I thought this was good because it shows how much talent we have overall. Well, we've had or have overall on the offensive line, period. So, you started, we did center, we did line, we did guards, then we did tackles. So I think it shows how much just talent has been there. And that's kind of was the point. So we can see like, hey, we have so much great things that we can do here, and having that shown and showcased for everybody to see and kind of look up some of these people. So hopefully some of you guys, if you're not familiar with these guys we're talking about, just do a little research on them, catch them real quick, learn a little bit about them. It's all about the history. And the one thing we're going to do next offseason is we're going to talk about historical teams and things with the Eagles, so we can bring some different perspectives and talk about some of these great historical teams that the Philadelphia Eagles have had. Obviously, a lot more Super Bowl teams, but you don't have to win a Super Bowl to be a great team. It does help, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So we will move on here and talk about that Week 8 game against the Steelers. I believe that was Week 8. I hope it was Week 8.
It was a week right before I went to short week right before I went to Houston.
Yes, it was.
That game
right,
was
so-
a little scary.
Yeah, so season review Week 8 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll open. Any thoughts you have on the game, any stats you want to give, any of that? And Fuji, we'll start with you this time.
Let me see. Matter of fact, I know A.J. Brown went off in that game. I believe he had 3 touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
Hey, A.J. Brown, 6 receptions, 156 yards, and 3 TDs. Right, that was the A.J. Brown show, that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Eagles, they pretty much came out on fire and just smoked them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, looking, Jalen Hurts had 4 touchdowns in that game. 280 was 19 for 28 and 285 yards passing. Actually, he only ran for 10 yards, but matter of fact, I believe the Eagles had 400 yards total in that game, and Pittsburgh 302 yards on their side, but. It was a dominant game by the Eagles. Just came out and, actually they had 6 sacks. I guess on Kenny Pickett. So, just a route 35-13 win. It was just another game that, they went on the run for the to go to the Super Bowl, and Pittsburgh team that's, I don't know where they're heading this year. I think they had a pretty good draft from what I heard. But
yeah, they were 2-5 coming into the game. We were 6-0. So most people outside of Steelers fans thought we had a great chance to win. Let's continue that narrative, and I'll let you go wide before I go into any stats or anything. They continue the narrative of just not quite good enough. The Eagles, they are, 6-0, but, there's always a but. But have they beat a coach that's as good as Mike Tomlin? Have they played a defense as good as the Steelers? Have they, been challenged? Whatever. It's always some but throughout the undefeated part of our season. So before I go into anything else, what do you have for the game?
Yeah, I mean, this was a game we decided not to let our foot off the gas. We scored in every single quarter of the game, 7-14, 7-7. I mean, it wasn't a lot in the last two quarters, but at least it was something compared to some of the other games. Jalen Hurts played an amazing game. He was 19-28, 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. Not a lot of running during the game. Miles Sanders was the lead rusher with 78 yards, but he only had 9 carries. Jalen Hurts only ran it twice in this game. One I didn't agree with because I even had it marked down. It was a 2nd and 19, and he decided to run it right up the middle. Didn't get very far at all. And it's like it's those kind of decisions. It was the game last week we talked about. He did something very similar. I think it was like 3rd and 19 where he did it, and 2nd and 19. It's like, why are you doing this? I don't know if that was a Steichen call, if Jalen Hurts just decided to audible and do that. It was a terrible move. Not a lot wrong with this game other than, I mean, just to kind of, even though the defensive line was eating, we were still seeing a lot of the same mistakes, like in the secondary, as far as leaving the middle of the field wide open, trying to tackle guys, not doing it very successfully. The tackling was terrible in this game, especially when it comes to like trying to get Najee Harris towards in that second half. And also showed some of the issues with mobile quarterbacks as well. The couple times that Kenny Pickett got out of the pocket and ran, he was getting big yardage. And that was something that we kind of saw throughout the rest of the season as well. That kind of became a problem. The running situation did get better throughout the rest of the season, but through the first half of the season, man, it was pretty rough. We were looking at some of these running backs we were going up against each week, like, oh man, they could have a game. And Najee Harris, he could have had one, man, but we were able to stop him and hold him pretty good there. But overall, I mean, the special teams, they were doing somewhat decent until they fell for that fake punt. It's like, right. As soon as they start doing well, it's one of those things. It's like, all right, we need to get this dude, get the special teams coach out of here.
Yeah,
I don't know why he's still there.
He needs a hardcore flogging. He does. He needs a hardcore flogging. So I was at this game, right? I was actually in the building watching this game for the lower bowl. So this was an amazing game to watch. I was around a lot of Steelers fans, but I also had some Eagles season ticket holders around me. It was great, man. It was a great vibe, man. Mm-hmm. Anytime you can go to an Eagles game, especially if you don't live there, so you gotta get there. It's more of an event. You appreciate it more because you can't just hop down the road and see it. And I'm not saying that you don't appreciate it if you live in Philly. I'm just saying it's a different appreciation when you are far away and you have to make plans, to get there. Fans were great, man. Even the Steelers fans were kind of like, whatever. They kind of talked a little smack out in the parking lot, but once we got into the game, they started to get a little nervous. And just watching the plays, man, watching the runs, watching how they line up, the pregame and everything, man, it's great because I go to a game in Maryland every year as well because I have a friend who has season tickets to meet him. Always go there, but this one is always great whenever I can go to a game in Philly because not only you've seen the team, but you're at the home stadium. Not saying that when you go to the Commanders games, it's not more Eagles fans than Commanders fans because that's actually what it is because the buses come down Fuji knows. But in the home stadium, it's just great, man, and it was great to be there and just witness it. It was a great game, of course. This was a game where AJ Brown had him do the stomp the yard celebration for one of his touchdowns. And then one of them, he kind of just pointed to guys like, got you, and got you. Right. We cut the ball over 3 people.
Yeah, you got fined for that one.
Yeah, it was worth it. Pascal had his first touchdown of the year. I got to see – one of the things I did for part of the game was I watched Zach Pascal when he was in the game because I always talked about how he did all the other things. And this was one of the times that really solidified that for me. I was able to watch him. So he, knows the ball's not coming to him, but he's running a hard route. He's cutting – you would believe if you're watching this play, if you're defending him, that he was going to be the one to get that ball, right? So that drags the defender away, that drags the zone to, we got to watch him because we do know that what the other guys can do. So it makes sense. But even when he wasn't getting the ball, man, he's every play playing hard. When he scored a touchdown, man, the whole team was basically in the end zone celebrating with him because they know how much he meant to that team last year, even though a lot of it didn't show up unless you were breaking down video. When you're watching live or looking at stats, you may not see his name as much. But trust me when I say the reason I was bringing him up all year is because he was an important part, because he was a veteran and he was able to do a lot of the other things that are important for you to win games. Defensively, did have a lapse. Jordan Davis got hurt, missed some weeks in this game. That was scary because when he first got hurt, it was a collective, like everybody was holding their breath because we were like, oh, we can't have that. But then we found out it was something he was going to be able to come back from and be back during the season. We were like, okay, but you can see the difference. And, people want to say that Jordan Davis did make a big difference in the running game last year. We could see when he went out how they were able to start solidifying the run game. They weren't getting big plays, but before he went out, they weren't getting anything. When he went out, they started to get, 2, 3, 4 yards a carry. Harris almost broke a couple of big ones in certain situations. So there was a lot that we lost because there's a big body that can play that we lost, when he went down. So it's not always what you bring stat-wise. That's the big thing. It was a big takeaway for me last year for the team, and especially watching some of the guys. It's not the stats, but it's the things that you do that are important to the team. That offensive line, man, they go out there every play and give Jalen Hurts a clean pocket. I saw in that game maybe 4 times Hurts did not have a clean pocket. I saw pockets do where because I was high enough up, I was about 10, 15 rows off the field. So I was high enough up where I could see everything. And I was like not behind the goal post, but like on the side behind the visitor goal post. So you could see like the plays, you could see the pockets, and it's like, wow, this dude really has a solid pocket. He can sit here for a second, scan the field, and make a play. And that's important for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback. And the zip on his balls, the movement was a lot better. You could see him settle his body, make throws off of his, off of his legs to generate the power, the accuracy, the ball whipping out of his hand, the zip, the tightness of the spirals. All those things that you want to see. This was a great game to see those things from Jalen Hurts, and for me to be able to see it live, and it was amazing. And the Steelers played actually a pretty good game. They just gave up some big plays, and they just couldn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, they actually played a pretty good game. Like I said, just some big plays. This was a game of big plays. We didn't do a lot of pounding the ball, controlling time of possession like we have in other games, but we just got a lot of big plays off.
Yeah.
They gave up 144 yards to Pittsburgh, but Najee Harris only had 8 carries for 32 yards. But actually, I think I just read Jaylen Warren was the lead rusher. Jaylen Warren, he led the Steelers with 6 carries, 50 yards, but he was averaging like 8.3 yards a carry.
I tell you, his runs were like they were on their 20, and he would run like 10 yards, 15 yards to the 35, and it'd get blew up. So while he did have numbers based on like carries and average, they weren't important carries. They were given Harris had some big carries where he almost broke, but we caught him at the end. You even had one of their wide receivers, Steven Sims. He had 2 carries for 21 yards. Pickett, and he's not known to be a runner. He had 7 for 37. So they spread the ball around running, but when they were trying to get first downs, they were going to Harris, and we were able to get those legs and stop him from getting it done. And he did affect the passing game. He had 6 catches as well. So this is a game where they did a lot of they had a lot of guys have some catches, but only Freiermuth, Claypool, and Johnson had at least 4 carries and averaged over 7 yards, catches, and over 7 yards a catch. And then Warren actually had 3 for 25 out of the backfield, but they were just trying to find weapons. They were at a point where they were just trying to find weapons. And then keep in mind, too, some of those carries by Warren and Sims and stuff were in that fourth quarter when this game was pretty much, out of hand for them. So, but I mean, pretty much. But I was happy with, what I saw, man, and we left chanting Fly Eagles Fly, EAGLES, and the Steelers fans were leaving early. They were leaving like midway through the fourth. So it was fun. It was a fun game to go to. It was, you look at it and you say, man, if I can only go to one game a year, this would definitely be one of the games where you would say, I want to go to that. This should be a good game for the Eagles, and it definitely was.
Mm-hmm. It was rough watching it back and seeing that it was Terrell Edmonds getting burnt by AJ Brown, especially now that we ended up signing him.
It was, but hey, it's AJ Brown. AJ Brown
Yeah,
brought
exactly.
a lot of people that didn't get beat by anybody else. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit better. But yeah, I did think the same thing. It was a little cringeworthy when I did see that, right? So, with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and get things ended here in a few minutes. But before that, we have a little debuting thing we're going to be playing from now on. Just a little promo for Shady Sports. This way, shout out our partner, and we don't have to say anything. So let's go.
This is Brett, and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Signing me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
And that sums up Shady Sports pretty fairly, right? So Fuji, we'll start with you, man. Tell the people where they can find you. Any other final comments you might have or thoughts?
Like I said, you got a couple. What's today? The 28th, 29th? 28th. A couple weeks away from training camp. Let's see what the Eagles. Let's see what Howie does. With Patrick Queen rumors. Will they trade for Hamler? Will they bring in Ngwake? It's going to be interesting to see what goes down the next couple weeks leading up to training camp.
And all that information, you can find it right here on the Eagles Elite Podcast. What about you, Wyatt?
You can find me pretty much anywhere. Find me on Twitter at Wyatt Regard. Find me on Cinema Trip Reviews on Instagram and Twitter, and also on YouTube. Have new shows every Wednesday. It's all about movies and TV and stuff. Go check me out, and find me anywhere podcasts are found.
Friday nights, of course, play called Sports Talk, 7:30 p.m. EST. We're talking everything basketball and football, NBA, college, WNBA, and football, college football, as well as NFL. Tuesday night, Line on the Side podcast on Sports Empire Network. We're on once a month now that the NBA season is over with. We're doing the NBA season Top of the Key podcast Friday nights after play calls, also on Sports Empire Network. Just a little bit of everywhere, man. I love what I do it as much as I can. Matchup Madness will be coming back soon, where we'll be covering all NFL teams. It's going to be a little tweak to what we're doing next year. We're going to make it a little bit more fun for everyone that's watching, all of the community. We're going to make it a little bit more fun for you. But more to come on that in the next couple of weeks. But, just appreciate everybody who tunes in, everybody who sees the replay. I know timing-wise, it may not be the best time for live, but that's the whole point, man. It's on YouTube. You can always see it. So even if you don't see us live, appreciate everyone that checks it out. All the shares, we're sharing it. We're letting people know about it. Hey, if you're watching it, you like it, man, share it with other people. Let's get it moving. Let's get that needle going in the right direction. And I always like to end with Fly Eagles Fly, a hashtag the elite. And remember, remind 2 of your friends and 4 of your enemies about the show, because just because they don't like you does not mean that they will not like us.
And go Birds.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.